This political season has really been crazy, hasn't it? I mean, if you're like me, you think, what more can happen? Well, anyhow, there's a big primary today, Pennsylvania and Delaware and so forth. And they say that could knock out Cruz. We don't know. Trump thinks he is ahead in all of these 5 states. And he's calling on Ted Cruz and John Kasich to drop out. They're not doing any such thing. And of course, on the Democratic side, Hillary Clinton, if she takes this, Bernie Sanders is pretty much finished. Terry.
Well, Trump made that move after Cruz and Kasich said that they would work together to stop him from winning the Republican nomination. But as George Thomas reports, their plan could backfire.
God bless the great state of Indiana.
A day after Ted Cruz and John Kasich announced an alliance to stop Trump's bid for the White House, the Republican frontrunner for the first time called on both of his 2 competitors to get out of the race.
When 2 candidates who have no path to victory, they have no path, they're mathematically out, they ought to quit so we can all get together, we can all unify, and we can all go against crooked Hillary Clinton and beat her, really, really beat her big league.
Trump is expected to sweep to victories in all 5 primaries today. By the way, speaking in Pennsylvania, he called the newly formed Cruz-Kasich pact pathetic and signs of desperation. And some think the alliance could do more to help Trump than hurt him.
I think it's just going to, the Trump people, it's a cynical ploy. It's more of the establishment ganging up on the voters. I really don't think it's going to be very effective.
On the Democratic side, the Clinton-Sanders race in Pennsylvania, Connecticut, and Rhode Island is tightening. Despite the defeat in the New York primary last week, polls show Sanders up or trailing Clinton by a few percentage points in the northern states. Meanwhile, 2 polls show different pictures of the national race between the 2 frontrunners. Clinton leads Trump 50% to 39% in a USA Today poll. But a George Washington University battleground poll has Clinton with 46% to Trump's 43%.
I got to get rid of these 2 guys. I'm sorry, folks.
But for now, Trump's main goal is to win the Republican nomination, something both Cruz and Kasich are trying to stop him from doing, so they can set up a contested convention where one of them hopes to gain the nomination for himself. But Trump, for now, is still in the best position to become the Republican nominee. George Thomas, CBN News.
Well, if you think that isn't curious, well, this is America, and this is democracy at its finest or its lowest, whichever way you look at it. But it's been quite a season, and it's not over yet. Well, in other news, you've heard about the protests against the so-called bathroom bill in North Carolina, but supporters are also making their voices heard. John Jessup has that story from our CBN News Bureau in Washington. Here's John.
Thanks, Pat. Thousands of supporters of North Carolina's bathroom law are rallying to support Republican Governor Pat McCrory. Pastors and other advocates spoke at a rally near the legislative building in Raleigh. They encouraged elected officials to protect the measure. Mark Creech from the Christian Action League of North Carolina says he knows they will be attacked by opposing organizations and it could cost them politically. State congressional Democrats have filed legislation to repeal the Republican-backed law. The Colorado State Supreme Court is refusing to hear the case of a Denver baker who cited his Christian beliefs for not making a cake for a same-sex wedding. That means the lower court's ruling against Jack Phillips stands, saying that he cannot cite his religious beliefs for declining to serve a gay couple by baking their wedding cake. Phillips says he doesn't mind serving gay people, but he won't use his talent to promote a message with which he disagrees. His attorneys are exploring his legal options. Well, with the price of oil having fallen sharply over the last couple years, Saudi Arabia has announced a bold reform plan to move the country off of its addiction to oil. The project includes plans to sell stock in the world's largest oil company, Aramco, owned by the Saudi government. The country will also set up one of the world's biggest government investment funds. The plan also includes trimming government perks, and it stresses expanding the role of women and giving them job opportunities. But some analysts question if the Saudis can actually cut their dependence on oil in the next few years. Well, get ready for Obamacare insurance premiums to rise sharply. Most insurance companies have been losing money in the healthcare marketplaces, and now the Hill newspaper reports insurers are already making the case for premiums to go up. They say fewer people are signing on and that they're sicker and will have higher medical costs than expected. The price increases could become an issue, Pat, for Republicans campaigning this election year.
Well, I hate to say it, but our worthy president lied to us. You remember? If you like your doctor, you can keep them. A lie. If you like your insurance, you can keep it. A lie. Your premiums are going to go down. A lie. I mean, an absolute series of lies. And why the American people still give him a high approval rating, I don't know. But it looks like in the next couple of months, these insurance exchanges are going bankrupt, and the ones that aren't are raising premiums sharply. And yes, that should be an issue in the election because it's going to happen. They've held them down for a couple of years rather than embarrass Obama in past elections, but he's not running anymore, so he's got to say, well, tough luck, that's somebody else to take charge of. But it was a disastrous policy, and it's doing, but what do they want to bring it to when it's all said and done? They want to bankrupt these exchanges, go, as they have been trying to do, to a single premium, single payer system that's run by the government. That's what they want. They want to move all health care to the government, and that was the socialist agenda of our worthy president. Just keep it in mind. John?
Pat, speaking of health, most people believe that vegetable oils can be healthy. And while that's true, you have to be sure you're using the right kind and in the right balance. Lori Johnson has more.
Most Americans need to cut way back on foods containing a natural ingredient they've probably never even heard of, but eat every day: omega-6 fats. These foods fill grocery stores, vending machines, and restaurants. Omega-6 fats are in vegetable oils, often touted as healthy alternatives to trans fats and saturated fats, but that can be misleading. The problem isn't that omega-6 fats are inherently bad for you, it's that eating too many of them can cause serious problems. Dr. Michael Roizen, chairman of the Cleveland Clinic's Wellness Institute, describes the deadly inflammation that can come from loading up on too many foods with omega-6s.
Causes your arteries to get inflamed, causes your immune system to get inflamed, and decreases your ability to fight infections, decreases your ability to find cancer cells and get rid of them before they cause cancer, and increases inflammation and atherosclerosis in your arteries. So that's the omega-6s.
Examples of foods containing omega-6 fats are peanut oil and canola oil used in home and fast food cooking, soybean, corn, safflower, and sunflower oils in thousands of processed foods, ranging from mayonnaise and salad dressing to microwave popcorn and baked goods. So how much omega-6 fat should we be eating? About the same amount as the omega-3 fat we consume. It's in fish and fish oil supplements. Our body needs both omega-6 and omega-3 in nearly equal amounts. Striking that balance is tricky. Some populations, like the Japanese, do a good job. The U.S., not so much. Most Americans eat 20 times the omega-6 fats versus omega-3s.
The ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 is important. The higher the ratio, the more omega-6 or the less omega-3, the more inflammation.
So foods containing omega-6 fats we do well to push away while bumping up our omega-3 intake. To learn your exact omega-6 omega-3 ratio, ask your doctor for a fatty acid blood test. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
A lot of us might want to re-examine our diets after watching Lori's report. Pat?
I have a little bottle in my refrigerator. It has Norwegian cod liver oil, and I have about
I'm Norwegian. You take that stuff down.
Well, this doesn't have any fishy taste at all.
Really?
Oh, yeah, it's delicious. They've got a little lemon in it, and it's good. You take about a teaspoon of that. I just drink it out of the bottle, and hey, then I've got my 3s for the day, okay?
Okay.
Okay. I'm trying to
So
keep
far
you
you
healthy.
smell good.
I don't want you to have inflammation and all those other horrible things.
No, I know. It just...
Okay.